So with this, we now have our first panel discussion on leveraging AI to drive growth in MSMEs. The discussion will be moderated by Mr. Venkatesha Babu, Chief of News Bureau, Bengaluru of Business Line. Sir, can we please have you on stage? Can we hear that from Mr. Babu, please? Welcome, sir. And with this, I'd like to invite our esteemed panel of speakers. We have first joining us Sanket Atal. Sanket is instrumental in driving the next phase of growth for Salesforce in India, making it a global hub for talent and innovation. Combining the best of design thinking and digital strategies, Sanket works with teams to build breakthrough customer experiences, leveraging his passion for innovation to deliver future-ready solutions, accelerating growth for Salesforce in India. Welcoming Sanket Atal with us on dais, sir. Thank you. Our next panelist is Tejas Goenka, the Managing Director at Tally Solutions, who's working on making connected business environment a reality for small and medium businesses via the next generation. Tally product roadmap, seeing the tremendous opportunity to positively impact the lives of millions of entrepreneurs across the globe. He's expanding Tally's footprint beyond India to the Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia, United States, and Canada. Welcome, sir. Our next panelist is Vidya Vasudevan. Vidya heads the Zoho user community. She has been with the company for 23 years. After playing several roles in Zoho's IT management division, where she wrote about supported and trained customers, Vidya now focuses on building a thriving user community that furthers user retention, peer support, and brand love. Her team represents the voice of customers inside the company and is constantly working on strategies that open up online and offline avenues for Zoho users to connect, engage, and learn from each other and from product experts. Welcoming Vidya Vasudevan. Our next panelist is Siddesh Nayak. In this role at IBM, Siddesh leads a team that helps clients deliver business outcomes using data, AI, and automation. Siddesh has more than 22 years of experience in the information technology marketplace with an extensive background in sales, operation, and brand management. He's been with IBM for 20 plus years in various roles in sales and brand managing. Welcome, sir. And with this, I'll hand it over to our moderator. And towards the end of the panel discussion, we'll have time for Q&A, so please keep your questions ready for that. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Obviously, I'm sure that you have seen what is up on there, which says that leveraging AI for MSME growth. While we were internally brainstorming on the topics we ought to look at, this was not an obvious choice at the very beginning. I'll tell you why, and before I even get my esteemed panelists to weigh in, most of the MSME players sitting out here, most of them struggle to even have some of their basic technology needs met. So where is the question of AI? There was a deep degree of skepticism in terms of whether AI is even applicable to the large section of the MSME sector. But increasingly, if India wants to become a global power, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in services, whether it wants to leapfrog existing technologies, AI inevitably is the answer. So to address this challenge as well as more questions, we have very qualified, eminent people. We consciously chose two multinationals who are hyperscalers. We have, of course, you heard the MC talk about Sanket, who is from Salesforce, and Siddesh, who is a written panelist. Last year, he was such a hit that we had to have him back again. Both of them from IBM, of course, Siddesh is from IBM. Both of them large hyperscalers who are shaping technology globally, and two very punchy, very feisty contestants from India who are making a mark globally, Zoho and Tally. I'm sure that majority of you would have used either Tally software at some point of time or Zoho suite of solutions at some point of time here, okay? So with starting off even with a degree of skepticism, whether even AI is applicable, without much ado, let me ask the panelists to make their opening remarks in what can technology, specifically AI, do to help MSMEs grow. Ladies first as always, so it's up to Vidya. Vidya, your opening remarks, please. And before she starts, Zoho, I'm sure that, as I said, most of you have used their suite of solutions at one point of time or the other. One of the most underrated, under the radar Indian success stories, okay? What Sridhar Vembu has built at Zoho is something remarkable. A global champion from India who probably doesn't get the attention it deserves, but increasingly is being noticed as a player which is on the radar of even the large competitors. So over to you, Vidya.
Thank you, Venkatesh. Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here addressing on this topic of whether or not we should all ride the AI wave. I think I'm here to state the obvious, which Mr. Ganesh has already done and Venkatesh has already reiterated, yes. So I think we all will remember Nokia and BlackBerry. Anybody still using those phones? Anyone here in the audience using Nokia or BlackBerry? It's not like they were bad phones, they were great phones, but they are not here today because they became irrelevant. Catching up with technology is not a choice. Again, this is cliched. So I, as part of community building initiatives, I work towards building user communities around our brand. It is my role to see how we can constantly keep creating a lot of avenues to see that the customers constantly have room and scope to engage and stay engaged with us. In this process, I get to interact with a lot of business owners globally, and primarily in the last couple of years, I've been actively engaging with a lot of MSMEs in India. So it is heartening to see. I don't think we are on the right track. We see a lot of MSMEs on the digital journey, on the digital transformation journey, making a definite stride. But there is, the true story is that there is a lot of skepticism. We still see a lot of MSMEs that have not moved out of using spreadsheets for a lot of activities that they do, be it from keeping books or be it for managing customer relations, using it even like contact management or CRM systems. So that is where it is. So while these challenges are true, there is parallelly another change that is happening, very noticeable change, one that tech is becoming increasingly affordable. It is not expensive, it is not complex as it was maybe a decade or 2 decades back. Legacy systems needed a lot of hand-holding, a lot of implementation efforts. Today, that kind of requirement is actually negated. It is no longer a challenge like that because of SaaS. So SaaS adoption is become a thing because nobody needs to worry about setting up an infrastructure, maintaining that infrastructure, setting up a team that is trained on these resources, worry about their churn. There is a chain of challenges that come with that kind of implementations. Today, that kind of challenge is totally removed. Another thing, it is also becoming increasingly intuitive. So most solutions work out of the box. So on the one hand, it is becoming affordable. On the other hand, it is becoming increasingly simple to use tech, contrary to how a lot of MSMEs still perceive technology as being very complex or very expensive. So I think Venkatesh also cited in his introduction saying how there are these vendors who provide affordable tech, right? So not just Zoho or Tally, there are so many other players in this ecosystem, and there is a pie for everyone. So on the broader note, I would like to again quote Jensen Huang from NVIDIA. I think that quote has been doing the rounds like crazy. So tech evolution is like that speeding train. If you look at it from the outside, you can never keep pace with the speed. You have to get inside the train, because inside the train, it doesn't move that fast. Thank you.
So hop onto the train or you will be left behind is a message. Vidya pertinently pointed out something. None of us in the room, there was not a single hand up when she said that, do we use a Nokia or a BlackBerry? Technology changes so fast. Very few players actually survive in this business for a long period of time. One of the few companies globally which has survived for more than a century is IBM. It is the 800-pound gorilla which in the technology business has managed to not only survive but also thrive with every changing evolution of the technology landscape. However, there is always a degree of skepticism which says that, what will somebody like IBM, which is such a large player, which primarily looks at enterprises, is capable of doing to the MSME sector, which struggles with even the most basic stuff. How do you address those challenges, Siddesh?
Hey, thank you, Venkatesh. Thank you for good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, Venkatesh, in fact, before I come to responding to your question, I want to draw an analogy, and we've been seeing this transformation for the past few years, and that is one of my favorite analogies, which is the whole fintech journey that we've seen in India. We are the third largest fintech ecosystem. In fact, even in terms of fintech adoption, the way fintechs and banks have started working as a coherent ecosystem is phenomenal. We have a fintech adoption of 87% against the global average of 64%. And we've seen this happen through the last few years. The way the whole digital ecosystem has become a very, very vibrant ecosystem. In fact, a lot of things in terms of the downstream funding to the MSMEs, the whole financial inclusion piece that comes in as well. Now, if you look at this piece, this has been a foundational element. Technology has been a foundational element for this transformation. And like Vidya said, the whole transformation from a technology perspective is not a choice, but it is a question of survival. So unless we create a platform that gets me out to the world with newer and newer models, my ability to go address the need that comes in, I have no means to really go cater to the new world out there. How can IBM be a partner of choice in this space? And in fact, not many of you would know, but we play very aggressively in the MSME space. We start with offerings which really are now targeted for the MSME space. And I would say we start with three broad areas, and which we believe are foundational areas for the MSMEs to go to the next level. The first piece is AI. How do I bring in AI from aspects of two core areas? One is, how do I bring in AI from a customer experience perspective? How do I take the whole customer experience to the next level? The second element is, how do I optimize and cost from an operational excellence perspective? I think two broad areas that are appropriate from a MSME perspective. The next piece where we've seen a lot of traction on, and this is a lot around the suppliers to some of the ancillary units, the auto ancillary units, right? Now, all of this has become a very, very large digital ecosystem. So how do I have a API backbone? How do I have an API lifecycle management that makes these MSMEs as an integral part of the digital ecosystem? And I think this is a very critical part of getting them onto an exponential growth curve. Unless you are part of that digital ecosystem where each stakeholder is going to bring in benefits and benefit out of that relationship, you're not going on to the next level. So I think that is the second area we work extensively with a lot of ecosystems on. I think the third area is about, how do I bring in AI-powered operations? And this could be IT operations, this could be multiple other core operations that the MSME runs. These are the three areas, Venkatesh, we focus on from a MSME perspective.
I'm sure that everybody in this room, at least all the MSMEs, at some point of time in their journey would have used Tally. I'm loath to state this on stage, but nonetheless, even the micro enterprise at some point of time, very early on in the journey, probably would have used a pirated Tally software at some point of time before graduating once they're able to offer to the legit offerings. Tally is like literally a household name in the country. Tejas, and I've had the privilege of knowing his father who built the company to have really made a mark. Tejas, if you could outline why is Tally so popular, especially among MSMEs? What do you bring to the table? What's your understanding of the needs of the sector?
Sure. So thank you for having me, and hi everyone. So first off, like you shared, it's been some time now that we've been serving the sector. I think 2 or 3 things that really stand out. One, we've never found a lack of enthusiasm in trying to adopt technology. I think since '89, we've always found business owners never resistant, always open, but also the recognition has been that if we build something right, people will adopt. And it's not like we've had things correct all the time, to be honest. So that's been something that we've really, really spent a lot of time on. And to build something right in India is very different from building something right that's for the world. For example, you want to run your business your way. In India, MSMEs will know cash flow pressures are the soul of the business pretty much. We are under pressure of customers paying us on time, not paying us on time, managing them, suppliers demanding money. And the system has to work, keeping that in mind, rather than trying to force fit a set of processes that automation sort of demands. So a lot of our core philosophy has been to build technology that really works for business owners in environments like India. Over the last several years, we've also been seeing the similar behavior outside. So I think that's the second part, which is building things right. And the third is, if you look at the future and your point on AI and how should MSMEs look at it, I would continue on that enthusiasm. I do think everyone here explores technology. Everyone here has that smartphone. Everyone here has heard of ChatGPT, has tried it'll be surprising if people haven't. And that's what I've found in my discovery in the Indian market, at least. But again, the pressure is actually on folks like us. So we have to build things which are private. We can't take your data and learn from your data. And I think that has to be the soul of things that we build. We have to build stuff that actually gives you a proper benefit. So I think a lot of those problems we have to pick up, which allow businesses to actually benefit from changing technology waves. And if I look back to Vidya's example of when the smartphone came in, it took a few years for people to build that 10,000 rupee, 15,000 rupee smartphone, which India could use, in a sense, So it's on manufacturers, producers, creators like us that have to solve the problem that allow businesses to use those technologies. But I've always found business owners very, very open. So, yeah.
So AI demand at scale will ensure that the cost and pricing pressures will be addressed. One of the hyperscalers who has been doing this, Salesforce, of course, global hyperscaler who increasingly is addressing the MSME market needs. I remember the starter solutions which you started offering for the MSME sector. If you could talk a little bit on how does a large hyperscaler like you try and understand the needs of the MSME sector and address them?
Absolutely. So the company Salesforce is all about customer centricity. And we call our suite of products Customer 360. So whether you're trying to attract a customer through marketing, you're trying to do some transactions using e-commerce, you want to keep track of the customers using customer relationship management, our ticker symbol is CRM, we're synonymous with customer relationship management. You'd like to serve your customers, you'd like to do analytics, you'd like to manage data. We handle all of that, right? And all of that is necessary for every company to be customer-centric. And that should be the goal of every company. And the other thing I'd like to add is, going back to something that Vidya had said, when companies come together, a group of folks decide, hey, I'm going to launch something. And typically the concept is, let's try to do everything ourselves. Whether you're using a small ledger to keep track of expenses or your customers, et cetera. Oftentimes you feel the need to digitize something, you start using Excel, you add macros, this, that, whatever. And you end up trying to create products which already exist. And this takes away from your core competency. And hence, it's a distraction. Technology should be an enabler rather than a distraction. There are lots of technology available for you to be able to run your business, leverage that, and focus on your core competency. Now, having said that, let me get back to the question you had about startup. So most people perceive that a large company like Salesforce, would it be applicable to me or not? Well, if you want to be a world-class company, you want to use world-class software, and that's where we come in. What we did with Starter was to put together 3 of our most important, what we call clouds, which is the Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud, all of them into an easy package that you could get online with a click of a button and be able to get started very quickly. One of the things that enterprise software typically is notorious for is you buy the software and it takes you months and months of implementation before you're able to get any value out of it. Starter is not like that. Starter allows you to get going within a matter of hours rather than days, weeks, or months. And so that was the whole concept behind Starter. But I'll get back to the whole theme of the evening today, which is about AI. And I was speaking at a conference recently, and people were asking the question, what should I study to understand AI more? How best can I leverage AI? How do I become a prompt engineer? Everybody here has heard of prompt engineering. It's a big thing nowadays, right? And to me, the thing is, first of all, whenever you're using technologies like AI, it should be part and parcel of what you're already doing. So if you're using a CRM software, if you're using an accounting software, you're using a marketing software, AI should come available within the context of what you are doing. Why should everybody become an expert in AI? It should not be necessary. All you need to do is be able to use tools which leverage AI and bring it to you. That's our goal. We democratize the access to AI, right? And we do it, going back to Tejas's point, we do it in a trusted manner. Lots of stuff is happening around AI and lots of problems are being created as a result of that. Most people nowadays blindly trust anything they ask ChatGPT. Is it really true? Lots of toxicity problems, lots of false positive problems are there. What we have done is we have created our own stack which enables AI as a part of our products in the context of what you're doing, but does it in a trustworthy manner so you have confidence that my data is not being sacrificed and the results I'm getting is in the context of what my company would like to do. That is where Salesforce plays a big part. And by the way, we have been in the AI business for quite some time. So we started probably more than a decade ago, and today, we are already doing more than 1 trillion transactions, whether it's predictive AI or Gen AI, every single week. And it's going from strength to strength. So my fundamental conjecture here is that nobody should need to become an expert in AI, but everybody should be using AI by virtue of using products that give you access to it in an easy-to-use manner.
I get when you say technology as an enabler and number of solutions being available to the MSME players. But the worry is most of them don't have the expertise to integrate these solutions. How would somebody ensure that this best of breed solutions are brought together? Most of them wouldn't even have a basic IT manager to even look at. Let's be realistic on ground on what MSMEs can offer, what they can do. Either they have 2 choices, buy best of breed solutions and try to integrate on their own, or go and have a one throat to choke policy wherein they surrender their entire IT to a single company. If you could weigh in on what could MSMEs do under this kind of constraints?
Okay, so I think the first step would be to identify what problems you want to solve for your business. What are all the business processes that you think is taking away so much time that you have to automate, you don't want to keep repeating, how you can get your team to become more productive. So if we get to list down all the challenges that you want to eliminate, then finding solution vendors today is not very difficult. When you search, you will find n number of solutions. Everything is available for a trial format today, and there are a lot of free solutions also. So trialing this software without any catches will be the first step. And like I said, we don't need to know the technology. We just need to know what problems to solve with this technology. And this technology, most of the software that you sign up today will be intuitive. You will be able to relate to it instantly. So you will be able to navigate this, and all the vendors, most vendors that offer solutions for business process automation or for every productivity management or whatever is the business need, today has a good partner ecosystem. So there are a lot of partners that will enable to, most of them work out of the box. If you need implementation help, you want to integrate with your existing systems in place. Today, for any tech company like Zoho or Tally or anybody to be relevant here, we have to be integratable in the ecosystem. So we take care of that first. So we make sure that we are a part of this ecosystem. We work with every technology available out there, and we collaborate. So that is taken care of by the evolution in this tech journey, even for the tech companies. So when you are able to articulate your problems or identify the problems, for example, for most MSMEs, we see, just today, Zoho published a report on MSMEs. We surveyed about 5,000 plus Indian MSMEs. I don't know if you were one of the people who took those surveys. 77% have told that they've set aside 50% of their budget for this year and next year to invest in cloud solutions, which means you already know that you need a solution. You also know what kind of solution you need. It is a matter of deciding which solution to go with, which solves your problem in the least, which requires the least effort to get to that point. So once out there, every vendor also provides a lot of resources that enables or makes it possible to have, makes it possible for self-learning also. Other than that, there are communities around these solutions where you learn from your peers. So again, in the tech journey, one important thing to, like I said, is to stay relevant. To stay relevant, you have to stay connected with your peers and experts in that particular domain. So when you learn from the peers, it is even more easy. So as a tech vendor, I would say this is how you solve a problem. But when you learn the challenges faced by your peer in your vertical about how they faced a problem using a certain solution, that gives you a lot more insights. So being a part of the community will open up a lot more avenues for you to identify the right tech or the right way to solve a problem through a tech. Even solutions, they might not have just one solution for your problem. We might throw 10 options at you. So what best works for you is possible through trials and errors. It won't take time. I don't want to make it seem like it is going to be a very Herculean task for anybody to try and do something. Today, school children, if they have to start a project, they don't. I remember preparing for a debate when I was in primary school. The topic was politeness space. I used to rack my brains, talk to my dad, talk to so many people to come up with topics and points for the debate. Today, children don't do that. They ask ChatGPT. They build it on top of that. So every tech is becoming as simple as that. You should know to do the right search, find the right solution, go from there. Be part of a peer ecosystem where you will get to understand how a fellow MSME or how a peer in your vertical is solving certain problems. You will definitely be able to land the solutions. And all the solutions, most of them integrate with the other tech in this ecosystem, and the partner ecosystem will also contribute to that.
Tejas, since you work with a large number of MSMEs, how do you deal with this issue of legacy investments already made and integrating some of the newer offerings which these guys would be bringing in? Are you also building in some of AI fundamentally into your existing software? How are you addressing the kind of challenges which MSMEs have?
Perfect. So I think two big parts. One, we definitely see the enterprise, the larger organizations, very different fundamentally from an entrepreneur-run entity. And we also see the entrepreneur very, very different from a consumer. So consumer-oriented technologies find it hard to find their way into business many times. The differences are a few. Best practices typically don't work with MSMEs. And my encouragement to business owners is not to necessarily fall for that best practice trap in a way. I think business owners know their challenges. Business owners know how to run their businesses. And the technology should shape its way to that process, to that way, rather than you needing to change your entire business process to adapt to new things. So for us, building flexibility and I think for entrepreneurs also, it's important to seek flexibility in solutions. So that's probably one big thing. On the AI bit, I genuinely feel we are, despite how fast this world is moving and despite this VUCA fear in that sense, I do think there's a little bit of a distance to get to this mass adoption of AI. So if you want to see, sometimes they say, right, when you want to see what's happening 7, 10, 15 years down the line, you just have to look at a part of the world which is doing something far ahead of your time. And so in many cases, AI is making a big difference and showing us this incredible possibility of what the world potentially could look like. If I translate this to the business context, one, no business data should of course sit outside the business. Businesses should be in 100% control of their own data. And if I take MSME context again, sometimes I don't want anyone to know, even in my own team, to know how much I am selling or how much I'm buying some raw material for. It's a very core part of the system. It happens. So I don't want that data to go anywhere. It should not teach any AI model sitting out of God knows where. So those are some problems to solve. The second problem that we have to solve is that it has to be contextually appropriate for my business. I will maintain my business sitting in Bangalore running an aerospace manufacturing plant, or sitting in Chickpet running a very large sari trading business maybe. And the model has to work for me in the way I manage my enterprise. So I do think that there's work for folks like us to do. I do think that it's important to not necessarily only do the marketing bit, and make sure that we build out solutions that fully work. So in my mind, it's both these aspects, flexibility and trusting the way you run your business, because it has run for so long. And solutions have to work towards that. And AI, I think, has some months, not years, but some months.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add something to what you said, Tejas. Very significant points you made. The whole concept of data being yours and being able to leverage it and not training some model somewhere with that thing is super important. That's one of the things we like to enable. The other part is, in any business, you have several sources of data. You might have Tally, you might have Zoho, other entities. And for you to be able to leverage that data towards doing things with whatever it is you're trying to do, especially AI, you want to be able to put that together in some fashion so that whatever queries you do to the AI system are grounded in that data, in your data. That's something that's super important. That's something we'd like to enable within the context of our products itself. So collect all the data from all kinds of sources, use it in a manner that's safe. You don't share this data with any other model, it's your data, but you construct all of your AI prompts underneath the covers, leveraging the software, so that you're able to leverage it without sacrificing your data integrity.
Whether it is Zoho, whether it is Tally, these are all Indian companies which have gone global. Both Sanket and you bring a different perspective in the sense that you're global multinationals, unlike those two who are headquartered out of here. Are the needs of Indian MSMEs, in a sense, different from what needs are elsewhere? Therefore, do you do different solutions to the Indian market? If you could talk a little bit, Siddesh, on that.
So Venkatesh, one of the aspects we believe, and we've started seeing signs of those, is you will see at least the cream layer taking a leap from a technology perspective. And I'm talking of the MSME, and we've seen this happen with the fintechs, as I spoke of earlier. We've seen this happen in multiple other industries in the Indian context as well. We strongly believe that leap is out there to happen. Whether it happens in the next couple of quarters or it takes a couple of years is for us to see. We saw that happen in the banking industry as well from an India perspective. We took a leap in banking, we took a leap in telecom, and which is where we strongly believe that it is about world-class products for the masses at the right price. And that's the approach we've been leading with, and we've seen a tremendous success and traction around this piece. Let me give you an example of how we've seen this getting embraced in a very, very extensive way. And this is a MSME software testing partner with whom we work very extensively. He does software testing, and how do I bring in Gen AI to really revolutionize how he does this? It's about how do I use a business requirements document and churn out testing use cases across tons and tons of software that customers have built, do the entire functional testing, almost up to 95-97% of functional testing, bring in the performance testing. Your ability to automate all of this using Gen AI is a revolutionary thing that comes in on the table. Now, his ability to churn out projects which took him months and months in matter of few weeks is a significant change he brings to his business. There are multiple such examples. The beauty about Gen AI has been the extensibility of what all you can use it. It has started touching practically the whole aspect that changed between Gen AI and traditional AI has been, you can do a lot more with minimal amount of data in a very, very short period of time. And that makes it a lot more amenable to the MSMEs. The differentiation and like Ganesh very beautifully put it, right? This actually brings the MSMEs on par with the giants because of their ability to bring in a technology platform that can go bring them on par with anybody and everybody that operates out in their world, as long as they have a product which is comparable. So how do I build that platform and how do I get there? I think that's the story all about. So one aspect I would definitely, and we are in this world on open LLMs, ChatGPT, and the massive amount of risk that get associated with Gen AI, and which is where the element of guardrails become extremely important. How do I have the right guardrails? How do I have trust and fairness that comes in? How do I prevent bias? How do I prevent profanity, hate profile? How do I, we are right around the corner from a DPDP Act. So even as MSME, you are liable as long as you're operating in a digital world, you're liable to be governed under that act. So how do I ensure PI data is secure? How do I ensure consent management is taken care of? The whole 9 yards around managing the whole life cycle around this, especially in a world which is becoming a digital ecosystem world. And I stress upon that part because we've seen the whole exponential growth around the MSME space the moment they come into a digital ecosystem world. The moment you're part of a digital ecosystem, the world is not enough.
So leverage AI properly and you will compete with the best in the world. Sanket, your own Salesforce own learnings from the Indian market in terms of, are there applicability compared to some of the other global markets you operate in? Are there some uniqueness in the Indian space? And have you taken some of these learnings internationally too? It could be a two-way street, not necessarily, learnings coming from elsewhere, but here too, because on the fintech space, the digital space, India especially has developed a lot of solutions at scale. Whether for MSMEs that is applicable, whether your learnings and readings from other markets too, if you could weigh in.
Yeah, so the Indian consumer is very value-oriented and demanding, which is good. And there are lots of things in India that should potentially be global in scope, but haven't been till we penetrate the Indian market. And you take a look at being able to communicate on WhatsApp, for example. It's something that's an afterthought for most companies. It's a necessity in India, right? Likewise, being able to connect with the various fintech mechanisms that we're all familiar with. All of these things are there. Now, one very interesting aspect of being in India is scale. So the kind of scale we see in India, even with small businesses, is unprecedented anywhere in the world. If you can pass the muster here in India, you can pass it anywhere in the world. And so that's where it's just absolutely amazing. And on the MSME side, going back to a point that you just made, Sudesh, is that, look, leverage these features of AI to be able to scale, to be able to achieve more in less time. Say, as a small company, you'd like to do a marketing campaign. Now, typically, it takes some time. You want to be able to figure out which segment you want to address, what's the messaging you'd like to do, structure it in a particular way. It takes a week to put something together and get it out. Using AI, using the built-in features of AI that our products have, I'm sure other products have as well, you'll be able to do it in a matter of hours, maybe minutes. The amount of time you save is tremendous. Now, going back to your point about, how much effort does it take to implement these solutions? Well, it all depends on you. So, Vidya made an excellent point. We have tremendous resources in this country. So if you want to go complex, there are resources you can avail of to be able to implement that complexity in a fairly reasonable cost. If you'd like to go simple, there are solutions like Starter you can take, and it's click, 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 and you're able to get going. So it all depends on what is it you'd like to achieve. Fundamentally, you have to figure out where you want to head with the technology that you've got and how you'd like to run your business and what kind of scale you want to achieve.
There is this apprehension that since MSMEs are the largest job creators, whether AI would have a negative impact. What's your take on the stages?
That's a great question and a very, very difficult question for me to answer, to be honest. So what we're trying to do with the company is figure out what does an AI-powered employee look like. So for us, we're running a bunch of experiments, and I don't think that we're seeing replacement, but we're seeing a lot of additional creativity come in where there's a tool to help you do slightly more mundane things. To be honest, I think that's where we are, but I also feel like the world is very unpredictable. I don't think that we'll be in a situation where humans will be replaced. I do think that if we look at the shift between the last 20 years to now and what Mr. K. Ganesh was also saying, at that time, there was a nature of entrepreneurship, a cost to entrepreneurship, a willingness for entrepreneurship, which is dramatically different today. Today, the coffee shops are filled with kids with laptops and ideas, building new businesses. The cost of entrepreneurship, and maybe the wrong word to use, but the sex appeal of entrepreneurship just keeps going up with almost every few months. And I think the next 10 years or the next 15 years or the next 20 years will keep showing this. In fact, there was an interesting discussion that was taking place that in order to build $1 billion business, it used to take, say, 1,000 employees. The question is, when will it take one employee? So the ability to be able to do so much more, I think, comes in, which creates the space for us to pick up problems that we couldn't solve earlier. So in my eyes, I think that's the optimistic view I've got, but there could be a pessimistic view too.
Vidya, would you agree with Tejas' conclusion? For the simple reason, MSME has been the job engine creator, especially in the India context. So there is a lot of concern and worry whether AI therefore will have a deleterious negative effect on this whole exercise. So what's been Zoho's experience, since you're also a global player, it's just that you're headquartered out of India but address the global market.
See, AI, unlike all the other automation evolutions we've seen in tech, it replicates human behavior, right? It thinks, it understands natural language, it processes, it speaks, and it is disruptive. But it will complement the efforts of a business. It has to complement. So in Zoho, what we do is we have something called ZIA, our own AI algorithm. Here we see large language models might not be the right thing to chase for MSMEs because large language models deal with very large data sets. So the accuracy could be compromised and it might not be relevant and the cost efficiency is not met. So what we do is we call this contextual artificial intelligence. Okay, so actionable insights from what we do. This AI should power you by providing you contextual data that cannot go wrong or that cannot take anything away from a business. It has to aid, it will complement your business because today we all know, see, most of the things that we are talking today is something we all know, we just need validation or we want to feel endorsed. So we know that it is here to stay, it is here to grow, it is going to disrupt even further. So here contextual today, because user behavior is going to drive every business, we need some insights on what next step to take, what is the next best experiment, what's the next best experience to give to customers. So that way you need data insights, and these insights should be actionable. You should be able to, for example, I think Sanket mentioned marketing campaigns example. I would run a marketing campaign on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on some other third-party segment. So I need to know if my investment is right, whether this works. So as a business owner, you will know what to do next. Take, for example, for every business function, there could be examples like this. If it's supply chain management, right from raw materials till the product reaches the end consumer, at every level, so many automations are possible, which means there is room for you to take away all this work, the mundane work out of your routine, focus on the productive aspect. I think you touched upon it already in the beginning. So focusing on what matters to scale and grow the business and leave the rest to AI because it has to complement, and so no matter how skeptical or how scared we are, we cannot avoid, we cannot pretend, we cannot deny that it is here to stay.
AI affordability at scale, Siddesh, is it now? Is it a couple of years down the line? When are we seeing the tipping point?
I think it is absolutely now. And with Gen AI coming in, of course, as I said earlier, the whole extensibility of AI to every aspect of your business, be it hyper-personalized campaign management that we spoke of, the aspects of it touching HR in your organization, legal contracts, how do MSMEs transact and drive through legal contracts? So it has actually come to a level where it has become the art of the possible. You name a pain point and there is a way that AI brings in an ability to go address this. Having said that, like Vidya spoke of, you've got to be cautious that you're running this within the right guardrails. So how do I have the right governance platform which ensures while the LLM comes with tons of data, billions and billions of parameters which is trained on, you're not letting it go astray, you're not letting it hallucinate, you are not letting it into profanity or hallucination or hate profile with the right guardrails and ensure it delivers what it's required to deliver from an AI for a business perspective. I think that is a piece which has come in. The reason I say this is the right time at the right price as well is because you're not going to go develop an LLM. There are large companies out there in the world, including the IBMs and Salesforce of the world, who will go develop those LLMs. And a whole gamut of them available in the open source domain. IBM has also gone in and open source its Granite LLMs, which are available in the Apache 2.0 framework. Your ability to use them with minimal amount of services is a piece that comes in. In fact, I would say there isn't a better time for the MSMEs to compete with the giants with the kind of technology that Gen AI brings onto the table. And
all of us in our personal life already, even without willy-nilly knowing, use some degree of AI, whether you are using your personal assistant Siri, an Alexa, or a Perplexity or a Gemini, whatever you are using, to a degree we are already doing so. The message out here from the panelists seems to be very clear. The MSMEs need to get onto this train. Either you can stand and just be an observer on the platform or hop onto the bandwagon and zoom fast. Let me also take this opportunity to throw this open so that amongst the audience, if there are any questions, please raise your hand, identify yourself, the organization you represent, your name, and preferably I would want a question rather than a comment or an observation. The gentleman, the blue shirted gentleman over here, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I think I'm audible, right? Thank you, Business Line, for inviting me, and this is really beautiful. One outcome I had here is it strengthened my view that we are using Copilot on a regular basis, but my pointed question here is how does both Zoho or Tally allow us to obtain certain data? Say, for example, I had to I understand myself that how much revenue did we make from June 2022 to July 2024, sorry. Now, this one, I can do it by going back to my Excel sheets and then identify. But what I really want to do is give a prompt saying that, hey, probably a thing on Zoho or maybe on Tally saying that, can you pull this data for me?
Tejas is putting you on the mat right now here, asking you whether a particular feature can be included. If you could complete the question, please, quickly. Yeah.
Yes, so that level of Gen AI usage in either Zoho or Tally, when can I expect?
Yeah, it's not too far off. Some of the experiments are already happening. We're trying stuff with some of our customers already. The trick, though, I think from our side, and others will have different views, I think from our side is to make sure that only you know this, and that we never get to see it. And the moment you start learning how AI works, you potentially start getting scared that there's so much data that needs to be consumed to actually teach it, that it's tempting for the model to start picking your data and showing it to someone else. It's not that it'll show your data, but it'll learn off your data. So the trick is for us to get it to work. You should be able to literally go on an airplane with no internet and use the model, right? I think for me that's a great acid test. So we're trying it with a few people. I'll hope to get it to you soon.
Sure, I can test your model.
Can I attempt to just add on to what Tejas said? I think a beautiful question, and in fact, in one of your questions that you asked about the integration into your organization, into your workflow. The way AI is evolving is each application has its own embedded AI, right? But as a business, you need something that cuts across all of this. You want something that talks to your SAP or your ERP, something that talks to your CRM, something that talks to your production planning aspects, your HR elements. You have a siloed application environment in a typical environment. How do I have an AI piece that cuts across all this and gets you an ability to go? The question you asked, my sales data of this period, and it's a simple NLP question that you ask. The system recognizes which application it needs to go back to and go respond. Answer to that question, it exists today, and that's the role IBM plays on how do we cut across these siloed systems and get you AI-powered, enabled enterprise. How do I move from a co-pilot to a workflow-optimized environment?
Thank you very much. It's like a co-CEO.
Okay. Any other questions? The one at the back, please.
Hi, I'm Pradeep. I work in an engineering college as an incubation manager. So all of our majority of our students use generative AI today. So the main problem with generative AI is the credibility of the information that puts out. Okay, I believe most of these AI models are fed with information that are already available publicly. The problem lies with the information that is being fed. In future, will there be proprietary models where the information is fed only from one source, where the information is optimized, moderated, and verified?
Sanket, would you like to take that?
Sure, yeah. So that's happening today. We, for example, have our Einstein Studio, which allows you to create your own models if you'd like to, or further train models, right? It all depends on what you'd like to achieve. But the fundamental problem today is people are blindly believing whatever they get out of whatever model they're using. And everybody's familiar with LLMs now. Now the concept of SLMs is coming in, because you don't necessarily need a very large language model with thousands and thousands of points of data to be connected. An SLM would do just fine. In case yours is a small enterprise, you don't want to have your data go another place. And going back to what Siddesh had said is, look, we have a product which has now become very popular amongst all our customers. It's called Data Cloud. And the fundamental idea behind that is exactly what he was talking about. You have data in various parts of your enterprise. In case for your college, you might have data that's spread across various systems. Being able to integrate that and then leveraging that data to create your models, which will allow you to do interesting generative or predictive AI on top of that, that's the fundamental idea, right? And so in this case, of course, you can. The other part is, if you're running your enterprise, you should try to, your college IT systems, for example, try to bring in systems, try to bring in products that know how to leverage the data in this manner. So you should not have to reinvent the wheel. And one of the fundamental things I'd like to really emphasize is, you should not have to reinvent the wheels, leverage products that allow you to do so. Now, if your students want to create a model, all those facilities are available. Thank you.
Would have loved to take on more questions. Unfortunately, we are completely out of time. I would like to thank all my panelists for taking the time to be here. Special call out to Vidya. She came in all the way from Chennai to be here with us. Thank you so much. Sanket was actually traveling. He flew back specially from Hyderabad just to be with us. And for Siddesh, now this has become a fairly regular appearance. Thank you, Siddesh. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Tejas, thank you again for your time. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Over to the MC.
We'd like to thank the panel. Can we give them a bigger round of applause for this? Thank you so much. I'd like to request Mr. Venkatesha Babu and Vidu Shankar, Zonal Head, Karnataka and East, the Hindu group, to please hand over mementos to all our panelists, please. So that's a panelist selfie being taken.